Welcome back to KC Talks EV, and yes, I am finally in the Maxus T90 EV. This is Britain's first all-electric pickup truck, and I would just like to thank Maxus York for lending me the vehicle for testing purposes. As I've mentioned in previous videos of the eDeliver 3 and eDeliver 9 commercial vehicles, Maxus York have delivered excellent customer service to me, and more importantly, they actually have a really good deal on Maxus T90 in-stock vehicles, which I'll talk about at the end of this video. So in this video, we're going to talk first of all about the general specification. Then we're going to have a talk about some of the positives as well as some room for improvement that I've discovered over the 4 days that I've had this vehicle. And then finally, we're going to talk about what kind of tradesperson or what kind of person would be perfectly suited for the T90. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we should definitely talk about is specification. Now, the battery pack is an 88.5 kilowatt hour total capacity. It is very similar in size to the largest battery eDeliver 9 that you can purchase on the market today from SAIC. In fact, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it's based on the same underpinnings. It supports CCS rapid charging, which is pretty much standard across every electric vehicle on sale today. And it supports three-phase 11 kilowatt or three-phase 16 amp AC charging. This is definitely a lot more prevalent in things like job sites or industrial estates and things like that rather than your home. And it does also support, and I've confirmed that it does support 7 kilowatt AC fast charging as well. The usable capacity and efficiency will be tested in the next video, so that'll be due in next week. So make sure that you are subscribed and click on that bell icon so you are notified when that video comes up. WLTP is around 220 miles, which seems about right given the range that I've been getting sort of going around town and things like that, as well as quite a lot of dual carriageway and motorway driving that I've been doing. As well as on test as well. So payload in the back is 1,000 kilograms. This is actually comparable pretty much to a Ford Ranger double cab. It can get very confusing. I did notice that depending on if you get like the single cab, for example, you can actually have more payload. You can fit, for example, Euro pallet or a UK pallet in the back. By the way, this T90 only comes in a double cab format. And in fact, it's actually pretty spacious in the back. So you can actually have 5 people on the way to work or whatever, for example. One thing that is somewhat lacking, although probably isn't the most important aspect, is the towing capacity. It can tow. It will do 1,500 kilograms braked towing capacity. On the brochure, by the way, it does only say 1,000, but it is confirmed that it's 1,500 kilograms. However, if you don't intend to tow, for example, horse boxes or other vehicles on a vehicle trailer or something like that, then it's probably not going to be an issue. Some more positive aspects of the T90 EV include the fact that it actually drives really car-like, if that makes any sense. I probably should mention it does have leaf springs in the back, and what that means is if you don't have any significant payload in the back, it does tend to feel a little bit bouncy on like country lanes, for example, but it does tend to settle on motorways and dual carriageways, and more importantly, if you put something in the back, which you're probably going to do at some point, it will be absolutely fine. The other thing as well is that there's a 220 volt socket behind the front passenger and driver's seat. A couple aspects, however, it only is 150 watt, but that should be plenty enough for even more like higher spec laptops, for example, or for example, power tool, cordless battery charger, for example. The other thing as well is it's not a 3-pin socket. It's actually a international plug. So it either uses, for example, EU or US plugs, but if you get an adapter, it should be absolutely fine. There are a couple improvement aspects which I definitely would believe SAIC Maxus should do on, for example, the facelift model, or alternatively on the next generation T90 EV. So first of all, there is no dead pedal. What I mean by that is there's no area to rest your foot when, for example, your left foot, because obviously there is no clutch pedal. I do understand that this vehicle is sold as a diesel vehicle in other markets. I was something to rest my foot on a sort of a long distance journey. And bear in mind, the range does mean that you can probably drive 3 or 4 hours without needing to charge. It would be very nice. Finally, Maxus definitely need to get a lot more consistency with their head units. This head unit is fairly responsive. It's absolutely fine and all, but the inconsistency across all their models is starting to kind of confuse me a little bit, really. For example, this vehicle doesn't have DAB digital radio. I can't remember which one in the range has. I believe it's the ED3 or ED9, but one of them does and the other one doesn't. So therefore, there's quite a lot of inconsistency across the board, and I think Maxus really do need to do something about that. Finally, the head unit doesn't have Android Auto. That's very annoying given the fact that it does support Apple CarPlay, and a lot of people do have Android devices. It does have something called QD-Link, which is completely and utterly useless. So therefore, just don't bother using it. I just connected it to Bluetooth and had my phone when I needed mapping, for example, on like a mount. So essentially, it really is useless. Maxus really should consider putting Android Auto on their head units, especially given the fact that it's a parent company of, and they own MG. All MGs pretty much have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So maybe just pop over there and take their head units or something. Finally, where does the T90 EV actually fit? So for example, I'm going to give you a few scenarios in which actually the T90 is a really, really good fit. In all of these cases, it's really important for you to actually go test drive one. Try and avoid any preconceived sort of notions about electric vehicles entirely and actually go in test drive one, put it into your business for maybe 24 hours, 40 hours or whatever. Actually test drive one and see what you think. First of all, if you're a tradesperson who needs to reduce their benefit in kind and needs a pickup truck and also needs a double cab as well, then the T90 is certainly going to be a really, really good option. I mean, the rear payload is extremely similar to a Ford Ranger double cab pretty much, and it's pretty much a slot-in option. So what that means is you don't really need to change that much. You may want a home charger, for example. By the way, Maxus York are actually throwing in a free home or business premises charger if you do purchase a T90 EV. It may be somewhat of an issue if you do need to tow a significant weight. However, newer models should get much better with time. And even then, you still got 1,500 kilograms of towing capacity. So a small boat and a trailer, for example, should be okay. But just make sure that you double check it for your needs. Another scenario is if you've got a pickup truck pre-2015, so before Euro 6, and you are looking at the, I'll be honest, quite controversial ULEZ charge or ultra low emission zone charge in London. By the way, that is expanding. It is planning on going ahead as of August 2023. Then obviously the low running costs is ULEZ exempt, obviously, as well as you can get cheap EV charging rates with your free home charger. It may tempt you definitely into a T90. I can see people like landscape gardeners, for example, that maybe work in the ULEZ zone, need something that obviously avoids the £12.50 or £15 a day charge. Can't remember now, but it's one of those. And something that is dead silent. So for example, if you want to, if you're a landscape gardener and actually work in a large sort of park or a garden, you don't really want a diesel truck on the sole basis of the noise that it produces, then your T90 is going to be a pretty good option. Finally, I am seeing actually loads of people use pickup trucks as a day-to-day personal vehicle. So what I mean by that is people taking their kids to school or going to pick up shopping or something like that. Not really sure why you would want to do that, but it definitely can do it. It has got, as I mentioned, ISOFIX in the back, and therefore you can fit child seats to it. And the T90 is going to do pretty well. Overall, I think that the Maxus T90 EV is an exceptional vehicle, especially given the fact that this is Britain's first all-electric pickup truck. If you don't need that towing capacity, and bear in mind it will still tow 1,500 kilograms, it really is a really good go for it option. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not really a lot of choice currently on the market for pickup trucks that are fully electric, and therefore definitely go and test drive one, see if it fits your business needs. If it turns out that a pickup truck may not be right for you, they do also offer, so Maxus also offer eDeliver 3 and eDeliver 9, so that eDeliver 3 is more like a ENV 200 size vehicle, whereas the eDeliver 9 is more like a full-size transit model. And it, fingers crossed, I will also be testing the eDeliver 7, which is more like a transit custom size. So make sure that you are subscribed and click on that bell icon so you are notified. Finally, I just want to give a bit more details about the Maxus York deal they're doing. So on the T90 EV, they're currently offering £6,000 end of ICE age, is what they're calling it, discount. Plus, if you are eligible for it, they are giving out a £5,000 government grant as well. Another thing that you'll get is free metallic paint and also the installation of a home charger or alternatively a premises workplace charger. That's pretty much it. If you liked the video or you found it informative, please give it a like, dislike it if you didn't. Leave a comment below if you are considering purchasing a commercial vehicle that is fully electric, especially if you are considering purchasing one of the Maxus vehicles. Share this to anyone who is considering purchasing a commercial vehicle as a whole, really. If they're looking at, for example, even a internal combustion engine or petrol and diesel vehicle, it may be actually a very good time to go electric. So please make sure you share this video and potentially actually the entire playlist as well. So that is pretty much it. So thank you for watching and talk to you later.